All right, so here's a topic that you might be wondering why it's even part of a filmmaking conversation, but it's something that is so overlooked that it can become a huge issue for most independent filmmakers, and that topic is food. Now, what am I talking about? I'm talking about good and balanced thoughtfulness for craft services and the meals that you offer on set. You know, if you've ever been on an independent film set, or especially a student film project or a micro-budget indie, you probably noticed that the craft service table, you're lucky if you get a few bags of potato chips, and you're really lucky if they provide you waters. And if you're on a fancy independent film set, you may get a box of pizza or a bag of cheeseburgers. And look, I know this all sounds trivial, but what I've learned over the last 25 years in this business is that if you don't take care of your cast and your crew, if you don't feed them and give them the proper nutritional support throughout the day, productivity, it drops. And here's the biggest thing, is it doesn't require a huge budget to take care of your people. In fact, for a small investment, you can run a professional catering and craft services setup on your set and make it look extremely professional. So what am I talking about here? I'm not talking about gourmet spreads of food. I'm not talking about caviar or some type of hoity-toity bakery items. I'm talking about basic nutritional elements such as fruits, vegetables, and proteins. And here's something you also need to consider: drinks. Water, sodas, fresh juices, coffees, and teas. If you don't have coffee, I'm sorry, I'm not showing up to your set. And the one thing you should always make sure is that you get your cast and your crew's dietary restrictions. You need to have a plan for these things, such as allergies, and to be able to offer gluten-free and vegan options, as well as vegetarian offerings throughout the day. And these are important questions that you should be asking. And I think many independent filmmakers, they disregard this because they think that this cost is unnecessary. They think, well, this food doesn't show up on screen, so why should I care about that? Well, if you're running a micro-budget film set, more than likely you have a lot of people that are either working for free or they're working for a very low rate. And to add insult to injury, if they show up and the craft services suck or there's nothing at all, things are going to get dramatically worse for you and your film. But on the flip side, if you take care of your cast and crew, they will more than likely give you more. Look, filmmaking is not a one-way street. It requires filmmakers and the cast and the crew to both give and take. And part of your responsibility as a filmmaker is to be a gracious host. When you build a film set, your job is to keep your team safe, healthy, and moving in a supportive fashion. If you don't have that mentality, you probably should get out of this business immediately. Your creativity is no substitute for thoughtfulness and compassion towards others. So as I leave you today, I want you to start thinking about where you can start as a filmmaker to build a better set experience. Places like Walmart, Costco, and other big retailers, they sell things like fruit trays, vegetable trays, and other healthy snacks. And it probably makes sense for you to get a membership so you can buy these things in bulk to save yourself some money. From my experience, you should set aside at least 15